How did we all meet? So, how did I meet these guys? All right, so it's kind of a funny story. It all started in, I think it was seventh grade, maybe eighth grade. Um, I was in art class, and at the small little school in Millersburg, Ohio, little elementary school. We were sitting in groups at tables, and we were doing pottery. We had to do mold shit out of clay and make something that we were going to kiln. And we were going to fire it in the kiln and paint it, and then take it home for our parents or whatever. So I'm at this table with a group of people, and I was pretty much an introvert growing up. Like I didn't really, I'm not like I am now. I very much kept to myself. Didn't really talk to many people. Didn't have a whole lot of friends. Um, and I'm sitting there and I'm working on this thing, and I'm building myself a little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. That's what I wanted to build. I was big into the Ninja Turtles. And I was like in the process of making his shell and everything else. And I look over, and the guy sitting next to me is skinny, lanky, tall kid sitting there, and he's forming some kind of like animal out of his clay. And I kind of looked at him and I said, "Well, what are you making?" And he looked at me, and Tim, it was Tim, spins at me, and he kind of looks at me with this look on his face, kind of like, you're very sure he doesn't live on the same planet as you? And he was like, "I'm making a Teenage Mutant Ninja Elephant." And I said, "I'm making a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle." It went cool and cool, and we've been friends ever since. Pretty much. That's exactly how I met Tim. We have been close friends ever since that day. And then I moved away freshman year to Florida, came back up here to Ohio my senior year, junior year, can't remember which one, and reconnected with Tim. And we were hanging out at school one day, and he was like, "Hey, we're playing this thing called Dungeons and Dragons. You should come over and check it out." So I'm like, "All right, sure. I ain't got nothing going on a Friday night. Why not?" So I went over there and hung out and played Dungeons and Dragons for the first time. And that's where I met Curtis. And that's where I met Bob. And I met all of our friends there that we've been friends with forever. So Curtis, Bob, John, all those guys I met through gaming. That's how it all started. And we were a ragtag band of lunatics, man. I mean, seriously, we were all the kids that just didn't fit in anywhere. So we kind of formed our own little group of friends. You know what I mean? And we'd go down to the freaking local video store. Yes, I'm that old that there were actual video stores. We'd rent like horrible movies. The subspecies movies is ones that pops in my head. These terrible B-rated like vampire flicks, and we'd sit at Tim's and just watch those movies and game all the time, man. And I developed probably the closest friendships I've ever had in my entire life with these guys as a result. It was pretty amazing. You grow up in a small town with nothing else to do. I mean, most of Millersburg, Ohio is made up of cow pasture. You know what I mean? It really is not. It's not a bustling city by any sense of the word. So, there wasn't a whole lot for anybody creative or who thought outside the box and didn't want to go hunting or fishing, or sit on the corner drinking every day. There wasn't a whole lot for you to do, and I think it's amazing that this collective of extremely creative, insane people got together and formed this group of friendship and this little circle of friendship and brotherhood, really, that has stood the test of time. I mean, I met Tim whenever I was 12, maybe 13, and I'm 43 now, and we spent 20 years apart, and I showed up here, he showed up at the house, and we talked till almost 3 in the morning. You know what I mean? It was like we never left. It's crazy. You know what I mean? It's, people talk about the lifelong friends you make when you're in high school and how rare they are. And I'm lucky because I've got all my friends from high school are lifelong friends. It's fantastic. Couldn't ask for anything more.